Hello there. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Palpatine had a plan to take over the entirety of the Republic to basically start his own empire and to rule the empire without the Jedi Order getting in his way. So today we are going to be talking about Palpatine and his four-step plan to take over the entirety of the Republic, that of course being becoming the Supreme Chancellor, inciting a war, destroying the entirety of the Jedi Order, and finally taking over the Republic and transforming it into his own Sith Empire. So, without further ado, here we go. But first, as always, we will start with a little bit of a breakdown for step one, and that is becoming Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Republic. See, the idea for Sidious was to effectively become the Supreme Chancellor and to overthrow Chancellor Valorum. Chancellor Valorum, of course, being the Supreme Chancellor during the time of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, about 32 BBY, during the invasion of Naboo by the Trade Federation. The Trade Federation was told to invade Naboo, and they created a massive blockade throughout the entirety of the direct orbit of the planet. And the reason why they were doing that was because Sidious told them to do so, and Sidious had contacts with the Trade Federation due to Damask Holdings, aka Hugo Damask, aka Darth Plagueis the Wise. So Palpatine, of course, needed a world to basically have the Trade Federation to invade to make Chancellor Valorum look weak. And what better way to manipulate the system than to use his own home planet of Naboo, which Naboo had already had some dealings with the Trade Federation to begin with because of all of the various amounts of plasma that they had been harvesting from their world. So Sidious tells the Trade Federation to go invade Naboo, create a blockade. He wants to use the sympathy from his own homeworld being attacked to make everybody feel sorry for him and to gain sympathy from the Senate so everybody would feel bad for him. And then he wants to use the conflict to make Chancellor Valorum look weak, so he would then press for himself to become the new Supreme Chancellor of the Republic, so he would effectively take over the entirety of the Republic in his own right. But it actually became even better for Sidious because he actually had one thing that made his idea even better, and that was Padme Amidala. See, during the invasion of Naboo, Queen Amidala was taken prisoner by the Trade Federation, but then she managed to escape off-planet by the hands of Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. She then went to Tatooine to see all the slavery happening on that planet, and in the meanwhile, they were receiving direct messages from Naboo, basically saying that everybody was dying, everybody was starving, the entirety of the Trade Federation was just killing hundreds of thousands of people, and Padme, immediately feeling the conflict inside of her heart and wanting to save the people of Naboo, immediately falls into Palpatine's hands and is immediately stricken by his words and automatically wants to take Valorum out of the situation, calling for a vote of no confidence against him because he won't do everything possible to help Padme Amidala. She immediately goes to the Senate asking for help. They say they want to create a committee so they can investigate the actual charges of the Trade Federation, who have their own representatives in the actual Senate itself. So Palpatine convinces her that he's not going to do anything. He's only going to summon to the bureaucrat side, and he's going to drag this on for as long as possible because the Trade Federation can just get away with literally anything that they want to, which ultimately resolves in Padme calling for a vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorum, and an immediate vote being taken place where there are three other individuals who are voting to become the new Supreme Chancellor, but at the end of the day, Palpatine wins the vote. Then, immediately after becoming the Supreme Chancellor of the Republic, he then decides that he wants to incite a war, which immediately evolves into the creation of the Clone Army on Kamino, the creation of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, and the start of the Clone Wars 10 years later. And of course, if there's a best place to start, we gotta go with the creation of the Clone Army, which was originally created by Jedi Master Sifo Dyas after he had a weird vision about a galactic conflict sometime in the future. Palpatine, seeing that this would be an amazing opportunity, had Count Dooku assassinate Sifo Dyas, take over the entirety of the project under the name of Tyrannus, and use the genetic template for the bounty hunter known as Jango Fett as the main source of DNA for the clone army, and every single clone trooper was based off of his DNA. This, of course, then leads to the creation of the clone army, and alongside that, the creation of the Confederacy of Independent Systems that was originally led by Count Dooku. Count Dooku was a very powerful and charismatic leader who was very wise and very experienced, and used his experience in the Republic as a way to promote the idea that the Republic was filled to the brim with corruption and that the bureaucracy wasn't wanting to actually support the Outer Rim worlds. He then goes to all these Outer Rim worlds using his influence and the power of the planet of Serrano, and basically tells everybody that the Republic is not going to help them, they're not going to save them, they have to depend on themselves, and they have to depend on creating their own government so they can secede from the Republic, so they can create their own independent organization called the Confederacy of Independent Systems that was filled to the brim with different organized groups like the Trade Federation and the Techno-Union Army. And while everything was happening on the surface, and while he was being promoted as the leader of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, secretly he was actually a Sith Lord, and he was cooperating with his Sith Master by the name of Sidious, who just so happened to be Palpatine, and who was also in charge of the Republic that he was seceding from, so that's all very nice. 10 years later, however, the Confederacy of Independent Systems was about to attack the core world of Coruscant with the entirety of the literal trillions upon trillions of battle droids that they had in stock. But before they could even do that, they had to execute the Jedi known as Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, and also execute Padme Amidala before the Trade Federation could actually get on board. But before they could even do that, the Jedi Task Force managed to try to save them. They failed spectacularly, but at the end of the day, the Clone Army managed to save them, and the Battle of Geonosis was basically underway, with Count Dooku managing to escape just in time so he could go to Coruscant and tell Sidious that everything was going according to plan, and thus the Clone Wars began. The Clone Wars then lasted for 3 years, between 22 BBY and 19 BBY, a period where the entirety of the galaxy was seeing massive conflict throughout the entirety of the core, mid, and outer rim worlds. The entirety of all of these battles were led by Jedi commanders and generals who were out on the field, who were being picked off left and right by the likes of General Grievous, and who were being killed by battle droids, with their weakened numbers already thinning out throughout the entirety of the galaxy and being spread out throughout the entirety of multitudes of different worlds, where they were fighting alongside the clone troopers who would eventually betray them through Order 66. And at about 19 BBY, 2 major events happen that lead to the entirety of the end of the Clone Wars. That, of course, being the Battle of Coruscant, which then leads into the Battle of Utapau, which then leads to Order 66. During the Battle of Coruscant, Anakin Skywalker kills Count Dooku. During the Battle of Utapau, Obi-Wan Kenobi manages to kill General Grievous, and Palpatine is immediately told that he must give up and relinquish all of his necessary emergency powers after the death of General Grievous, since there would be nobody left to lead the Confederacy of Independent Systems, which then leads to Anakin Skywalker being told by Palpatine himself that he is a Sith Lord, which then means that Anakin has to go tell somebody, more likely a Jedi Master like, say, Mace Windu, who then leads a charge into Palpatine's office with 3 other Jedi Masters, who all immediately die. And then Anakin needs to make a decision to either save the one he loves or to betray his wife and to have her possibly die at childbirth. Long story short, he cuts off Mace Windu's hand. Mace Windu is sent flying through a window because of electroshock therapy, and Anakin Skywalker becomes Darth Vader. This ultimately then leads to the final act of the Clone Wars, and that is, of course, Order 66. Every single captain, every single commander, every single ARC trooper, literally every single clone is given one order: execute Order 66. And with that, the clone troopers immediately turn heel on their Jedi generals, murder every single one of them with the exception of a handful of Jedi, and the entirety of the Jedi Order is completely destroyed, as all the clone troopers manage to wipe out most of the Jedi that they come into contact with, and Lord Vader marches the 501st Legion into the Jedi Temple and murders every single Jedi inside. Immediately after that, of course, then Lord Vader goes to the planet of Mustafar, and with one more final action, manages to murder every single leader of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, thus leading to the entirety of the Jedi Order and the Confederacy of Independent Systems being destroyed in less than 2 days, and that ultimately leads to Palpatine, reinforcing his resolve and managing to convince literally everybody that he must have extreme power and that he must become the Emperor of the galaxy and must remain in power, as he has sacrificed everything because the Jedi wanted to assassinate him. Then he initiates Empire Day and says that the entirety of the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire for a safe and secure society. And with that, Palpatine becomes the Emperor of the Empire, and just like that, he has now completed his ultimate plan to have his own empire, for the Sith to rule over the entirety of the galaxy, and it only took 4 steps: becoming Supreme Chancellor, inciting a war, destroying the entirety of the Jedi, and finally becoming the Emperor of the galaxy, just like he and Plagueis planned to do all those years ago. I hope you guys like this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this content. Please hit that notification bell, please hit that subscribe button, and have a Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. I will see you in the next video.